In this video, we're going to take a look at a few newish nodes for Dynamo in regards to the family environment. So these nodes have been around for a little while, but I don't think a lot of people know about them. I missed them, and they're really exciting to use in a variety of ways. We'll look at how they work in a family file, and we'll also look at how to batch these across several family files. So if that's interesting, check out the rest of the video. Alright, so I'm just in a typical just kind of cabinet family available in out-of-the-box Revit. So I have a few here on my desktop saved. They're just the base cabinet families like I said. I have about 10 of them saved. I opened one of them so that way we can take a look at the nodes. So this cabinet family is a casework category as usual, but we will look at a few things here. So in Dynamo, if we go to Revit, Application, this typically gives us access to some of the different options within the Revit application. So documents and options like that. Warnings are another category that are pretty new. I have a custom package for this, but they're now out of the box Dynamo, which is really exciting. Document, we're able to get things for the current Revit document, like the views. We can purge, we could save families, all sorts of cool nodes. In addition to that workflow, we do have a family document category. And in this category, we actually have a way to get a family document given a document. If you don't know, Dynamo works on the current active document by default. So whatever file you open Dynamo within. And we're able to do things like add parameters, delete parameters, set formulas, get the formulas, a whole bunch of really great features in regards to the family environment for all of these properties. This is amazing, and renaming parameters would be very easy now with these nodes. What we need to do is we need to cast this, it's called casting, from the current document to a family document. So thankfully under the document category, we have document.current available to us. So we'll go ahead and connect that, and then we'll see that we now have the family document from this. That's important because now we can use some of these query nodes to figure things out, or we can use some of these action nodes to change things. So in our case, let's just build a simple graph to change the category. So I'll search for a categories node. And you have to change it to a category that works. If I were to pick something like annotations, it would not let me do that because that's not valid. So let's go ahead and make this a generic model now. And we'll see that that changed, and back in Revit, this category is now generic model. Not super practical in the application here, but it is a workflow where we're modifying the document. As a general rule of thumb, if I know that I want this to always be a value of generic models, this category, I tend to convert this from a dropdown. Reason being, it's more stable through Revit versions and Revit files, so that way it doesn't change on you. If you didn't know, between Revit versions, if your category count differs, this can change on you without you knowing. It's simply storing the numerical value of where that occurs in the list, so you can run into problems if you were to use that workflow. So just to help make this easier, in Monocle, which is a custom package for Dynamo, and I'll link that somewhere below, we do have this little recycle icon that lets you convert pretty much any drop down to a code block equivalent. So in that case, I'm hard coding the category by name as generic models, and it still worked. So let's go ahead and save this graph. I'll just save it in that same folder. So we'll name it set family category. Simple graph, 4 nodes, not a whole lot going on. But what's really interesting, if we close Dynamo, and I'll go ahead and close this base cabinet and not save it because I want to iterate through all of these. We are able to batch these workflows now. So one question that comes up a lot whenever we're building workflows for anybody is, I want to batch this across a directory of files. Can I do that? It's happened time and time again, and I have to explain how Dynamo works on the current document. You are able to use custom packages to open several files in the background, make changes, but that's very memory intensive and it's not stable. Rhythm actually has a few nodes that do some of the background operations, and I didn't add more because I realized how unstable it was. So you'll see this if you use custom packages as well. It's pretty difficult to use that workflow reliably. Luckily, there are a lot of great developers out there who build workflows for us to be able to use. One of them is Bird Tools, and they have this tool called Dynamo Multiplayer. I'll include a link below for this. Right now it's free. It says that it's in beta, but it lets you batch process Revit files using Dynamo graphs. It also supports BIM 360 models, which is pretty wild. I have a tool called Relay that I've been working on to where we can actually add icons to the ribbon, Dynamo graphs, and we can batch as well, but not through BIM 360. Forge isn't something that I've implemented, so it's pretty cool to see that they've done that. So after you install it, you're able to go ahead and click on Run. Oh, and one thing to keep in mind is with most tools, you need a project open. In my case, I have a blank Revit file open that has nothing in it. I just did File New. It's one of those weird things that Revit wants a file to be able to fire off API commands. So we'll go ahead and click on Run. It will do a little bit of checking your Dynamo version, and we're able to pick the files that we want. So what we can do is go ahead and click on Add. In my case, I want to process all 10 of these files. So I'll go ahead and click on Open. It's filtering for Revit files, which is really nice. It shows that it's an offline model, so it's not on BIM 360. And I already have that set family category DYN in the queue. I can go ahead and re-add it just to show that. So it looks like you're able to add multiple as well to run multiple operations. This is really awesome. The language here is a little bit confusing, but synchronize mode, please mind my central models. That means save the model whenever the Dynamo graph's done. You can also do read only, where you just pull data from models, or you can tell it to override everything just to like brute force make those changes. In my case, synchronize mode will work for me. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll click proceed. I'll try to tile the screen so that way we can see it run, and then we'll probably fast forward it so we can just see the results.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, and when it's all finished, you have a operation complete dialog that tells you all models have been successfully processed. So that's done, and it will do some cleanup, but we will see that we have a series of backup files as well. We'll go ahead and take a look at how to clean those up, but let's go ahead and look real quick and see the family category of a few of these. So as we can see, this is now a generic model, so that worked. Let's check another one. So I'll just drag it, and we'll see that this one's a generic model as well. So all of the files in my directory have been changed to generic model. Once again, not super practical. I don't know that you'll ever need to change the categories, but if you wanted to rename a parameter or something, you're able to do that now in a batch fashion. That's really, really cool. Let's look at how to clean up all these backup files that we have with Dynamo. So we'll go ahead and in our blank file, we'll open Dynamo. You could do this in Sandbox as well, but since I'm in Revit right now, Revit 22, we'll just do it right in here. The first thing I need to do is place my directory path. That's where all those backup files are. I also know that I have the one backup in here. I don't have more than one backup in this case. This is typically how I would work with something like this. In this case, I believe we can do import export file system, and we should be able to do directory from path. Once we connect this, it creates a directory object. This is interesting because now we have the option to get the directory contents. So let's go ahead and clean this up. And then we'll plug directory into directory, and we'll see that it runs automatically and gives us all of the RFAs and the DYN that's in that folder. That's okay. We're able to parse this directory. A lot of people's first assumption would be to start filtering these down and add more nodes, but this search string option is really special. So we'll see how to use that now. Worth noting is that I am in run automatically. So if you are recreating this and you don't see it running, just switch to run automatic down here. So I'll do a control copy of this string, and we'll type *.rfa. And what this does is it tells the directory node to get everything that ends in RFA. So when we connect that, we now have only Revit families. We also have all the backups now, so still not perfect, but pretty darn good. So what we need to do is be a little bit more specific because I want to delete backup files. So what we're able to do is *0001.rfa, and we'll see that it did obtain just all of the backup files. Another thing worth noting is if you do a process like this where you're about to delete files, it's good to create a backup of all these files before. So always keep that in mind whenever you're doing a workflow like this. So before we go too much further, we're going to go ahead and switch to manual run mode because I don't want it to just start deleting files on me without me even realizing it. So let's see. So let me tile my windows here just to make it a little bit more clear what we're doing. All right, and with my windows tiled, we'll see that I have all my backup files selected. There's 10 of them that are backups. And within the file system category, we do have an option for delete file. So we'll place this node now, and we'll see that it takes a path and it will delete it. It returns an object called void, and that's because it's just going to try to do the action. It won't give us any kind of result. If it can't do it, it'll just say null. So we'll go ahead and plug file into path. And when we click run, we will see it run and we'll see 10 files disappear from our backup directory. We do still have the ones that are generic models. So if I were to load these into the sample file, we'll see that all these cabinets are generic models at this time. Once again, if you want to use this workflow for something that's a little bit more practical, formulas or parameters in families are a really great use case. But yeah, batching across files with a Dynamo graph is super possible with that new tool that's available. Additionally, all of these document nodes for the family document are just amazing. These being out of the box and us not having to use a custom package for these is great. And I just see this getting better even. So there it is, how to modify family documents, how to batch that workflow across a directory, and how to clean up a directory. Hope that helps out and have fun with it.